Islam. Islam is the outermost and most foundational level of being a Muslim, describing the basic act of submission expressed through observable practice. The 5 prayers performed daily, the testimony of faith spoken with the tongue, the fast observed in Ramadan, the giving of charity, and the pilgrimage undertaken at least once in a lifetime by those who are able. This is the level of external compliance, the visible form of the religion that can be seen and verified by those around a person. And Islamic scholarship has always treated it as the necessary starting point without which nothing else can be built. Its theological roots lie in a well-known exchange recorded in Hadith literature, in which the angel Jibril arrived before the Prophet Muhammad and his companions in human form and asked him to define Islam, Iman, and Ihsan in sequence. A conversation that has shaped the way Islamic scholars have mapped the inner dimensions of faith for 14 centuries. What distinguishes this level from those that follow it is that it asks only for action, not necessarily for the inner conviction that gives action its deepest meaning, which is why scholars have always been careful to note that outward practice without inward development is a beginning rather than an arrival. And yet this beginning matters enormously because the discipline of performing these acts consistently, day after day and year after year, creates a structure that holds a person in place during the inevitable seasons of doubt, distraction, and spiritual dryness that every believer will face at some point in their life. Many people spend an entire lifetime at this level without fully recognizing it as a level at all, simply practicing the religion they were raised in, and yet that consistency, even when imperfectly felt, carries a weight in Islamic theology that should not be underestimated. Iman. Iman describes the movement of faith from the surface of outward action into genuine interior conviction, a state in which what the tongue declares and the body performs is matched and supported by what the heart truly holds. Islamic theology identifies 6 specific pillars that constitute this level of belief: faith in God, in the angels, in the revealed scriptures, in the prophets, in the day of judgment, and in divine decree, both its blessings and its difficulties. These pillars were also identified in the same hadith exchange that defined Islam, positioned explicitly as the next layer inward, suggesting a model in which practice and belief are not the same thing and a person can inhabit one without fully inhabiting the other. What separates Iman from Islam is not a different set of actions, but a different relationship to the actions already being performed. Prayer at this level is not simply a motion completed on schedule, but an act rooted in a real belief about who is being addressed. The emotional and spiritual texture of daily life changes significantly when a person is genuinely operating at this level, because the 6 pillars of belief do not remain abstract doctrines, but become the actual lens through which a person interprets what happens to them, why difficulty arrives, what the purpose of ordinary days might be, and what is ultimately waiting at the end of everything. This is also the level at which Islamic scholars note that faith can increase and decrease depending on a person's actions, attention, and environment, making it something to be tended and cultivated rather than simply declared once and assumed to be permanent. Ihsan. Ihsan represents the innermost and most demanding of the 3 primary levels described in the foundational Hadith exchange, defined by the Prophet Muhammad in words that have been studied and discussed by every generation of Islamic scholarship since: to worship as though you see God, and if you cannot achieve that, then to worship knowing that God sees you. This single sentence captures a complete shift in the orientation of both prayer and daily conduct, from performing actions correctly to performing them with a quality of awareness that transforms the entire experience of every act. What makes Ihsan distinct from Iman is not a different set of beliefs, but a different depth of presence brought to those beliefs at every moment. A state in which the knowledge that God is near is not a theological fact occasionally remembered, but a lived awareness that shapes every interaction, decision, and private moment throughout the day. This level is what classical Islamic scholarship has always treated as the foundation of the spiritual path, the point from which the more refined stages of development become possible, and it is also the level most directly associated with the work of the soul rather than the mind or the body. Scholars have noted that Ihsan tends to arrive gradually rather than suddenly, emerging through years of consistent practice, regular self-examination, and the slow wearing away of the habits that keep a person's awareness fixed on the surface of life rather than its deeper reality. For most people, this level represents an aspiration honestly felt but imperfectly and intermittently reached, a glimpse available in the best moments of prayer or in the quiet following a genuine act of generosity, disappearing again into ordinary distraction before it can be fully stabilized. Tawbah, the level of continuous return. Tawbah describes not a one-time act of repentance, but a sustained orientation of the soul toward returning whenever it strays, treating the inevitable gap between intention and reality not as evidence of failure, but as the very terrain on which genuine spiritual development occurs. This concept is grounded in Quranic instruction that describes God as loving those who constantly return and constantly purify themselves, framing repentance not as an emergency response to major wrongdoing, but as an ongoing, daily practice for anyone serious about their relationship with faith. What distinguishes this level from Iman or Ihsan is its specific relationship to imperfection. Rather than describing a height to be reached, it describes a direction to be maintained, making it accessible to anyone willing to keep returning regardless of how many times they have fallen short. Classical scholars describe the person of sincere tawbah as someone who does not treat a sin as a reason to give up on worship or prayer, but as a reason to immediately and genuinely turn back, understanding that the door of return in Islamic theology is not limited by the number of times it has previously been opened. This level carries a particular emotional quality that distinguishes it from the others. It holds together the sorrow of recognizing how short one falls with the genuine hope embedded in the repeated willingness to begin again, producing a kind of tender humility that many scholars considered one of the most beautiful and characteristically human expressions of faith available to an ordinary believer. Zuhd, the level of detachment from the world. Zuhd describes a state in which the heart has genuinely loosened its grip on worldly things. Wealth, status, recognition, comfort, not through poverty or withdrawal from society, but through a shift in the weight these things carry in the interior life of the person who possesses them. A person at this level may live and work and earn and engage with the world fully while remaining inwardly unburdened by the fear of losing what they have, because what they have has simply stopped feeling as essential as it once did. This concept appears throughout Quranic teaching on the temporary nature of worldly life and is reinforced in Hadith literature that describes the entire world as smaller than a mosquito's wing in relation to what awaits the believer in the afterlife. A comparison that sounds abstract until a person has experienced enough of life cycles of gain and loss to feel its truth somewhere deeper than the intellect. What separates Zuhd from simple poverty or resignation is its voluntariness and its interior quality. This is not detachment forced by circumstance, but a genuine reorientation of desire that leaves a person free to engage with the world without being enslaved by it. This level tends to develop through experiences of loss, through proximity to death, through the steady practice of gratitude that gradually trains a person to hold what they have more lightly, and through the quiet recognition accumulated over years that the things they once thought they could not live without have consistently failed to provide the stability they were chasing. Tawakkul, the level of complete trust. Tawakkul describes a state of genuine reliance on God that goes beyond intellectual acceptance of divine decree into a lived experience of releasing the outcome of efforts, decisions, and circumstances to a wisdom understood to be greater and more complete than any human planning could ever produce. This does not describe passivity or the abandonment of effort. Islamic scholarship has always been careful to distinguish tawakkul from laziness by pointing to the Prophet's instruction to tie one's camel and then place one's trust, meaning that effort and reliance are not in tension but are two consecutive parts of the same act. What makes this level distinct from Zuhd is its specific orientation toward the future rather than the present. Detachment concerns what a person holds, while tawakkul concerns what a person expects and fears, releasing not possessions but outcomes from the grip of anxiety. This is among the more difficult levels to genuinely inhabit because it requires a consistency of trust that does not collapse under pressure, sustaining genuine peace even when circumstances look unfavorable, even when effort has been made, and the result has not yet arrived, even when loss has occurred, and the purpose behind it is not visible. People who have genuinely reached this level tend to carry a quality of steadiness that others find difficult to explain, not because they are unaware of difficulty or indifferent to pain, but because the foundation they are standing on does not shift when the circumstances around them do. Mahabba, the level of love. Mahabba describes the highest and most complete orientation of the soul toward its creator, a state in which all other motivations for worship, hope for paradise, fear of hellfire, even a desire for personal spiritual development have been absorbed into and transformed by something closer to genuine love. This concept is deeply rooted in Quranic language that describes a mutual love between God and the believers, a framing that has shaped centuries of Islamic spiritual literature around the idea that the relationship between a believer and their faith is not merely contractual or transactional, but can carry a warm longing and tenderness usually associated with the deepest human bonds. What distinguishes this level from all the ones that precede it is the quality of the motivation driving everything else. A person who prays from love prays differently than a person who prays from duty, just as a person who gives from love gives differently than a person calculating reward. Scholars who wrote about this level were careful to note that it does not eliminate the other orientations toward worship, but transforms them so that the fear of displeasing a beloved becomes something quite different from the fear of punishment, and the hope of being near what is loved becomes something quite different from the hope of personal reward. This level tends to be glimpsed in moments rather than sustained permanently by most believers. Arriving in the depth of a night prayer, in the recitation of a verse that lands differently than it ever has before, in the quiet aftermath of a generous act given with no audience. And those glimpses, however brief, are what keep a person returning again and again to the practices that made the glimpse possible in the first place.